Lamar Jackson was drafted as the last pick of the first round back in 2018. He's 26 years old now and missed 5 games for the second straight season. Now, if you remember last year, Jackson missed a couple games, not because of injury, but because of the COVID list. And instead, Lamar Jackson now is going into, he's played his final year, 2022. He needs a new contract. He's an unrestricted free agent for 2023. We don't know what's going to be the plan because his 5th-year option was already in 2022. The Ravens could franchise tag him, which could be very, very expensive. But it's also a shame because you'd think first-round pick quarterback, there would be enough shown from Lamar Jackson that he's going to be a difference maker, for your team, for your squad. And maybe the Ravens just aren't convinced that he's shown enough as a passer. Lamar Jackson is a middle-of-the-road passing quarterback. He was 17th this past year in adjusted yards per attempt, 22nd in yards per attempt, 17th in accuracy rating, right? 23rd in clean pocket completion percentage, 24th in red zone completion percentage, 21st in play action completion percentage, 12th in pressured completion percentage. So he's ranging between like this back end quarterback 1 and high end back end quarterback 2. So he's like an average NFL passer. But what makes him a difference maker, we all know, is that rush. And in 6 of the 11 games he played this season, where he played the majority of snaps, because we're not counting that 12th game against Denver where he only threw like 4 passes. In the 11 games where he played the majority of the snaps, 6 of them he rushed for at least 70 yards. He's a running back 1 who also throws the ball like an average NFL quarterback. So I think it would be foolish for the Baltimore Ravens to trade him away unless you are getting a king's ransom. I don't see any other way about it. Who else are you going to replace Lamar Jackson with? Who else is on the market? I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers on the market is a better real life quarterback that could be available. I don't think Derek Carr is a significant upgrade. If the Baltimore Ravens view Derek Carr as a better player, I think that's a mistake. So, yes, he was down a little bit in his completion percentage, down a little bit in yards per attempt this year, but he was still 6th in fantasy points per game, and that's including that 12th game where Lamar only played 4 snaps and only threw 4 pass attempts and finished with 1.3 fantasy points. So Lamar Jackson is in that elite tier of quarterback. He had not just one, but 2 40-point games. Week 2 against Miami, where obvious shootout, against Tua. Tua threw five touchdown passes, 6 touchdown passes, something like that. Lamar also had 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing score in that game, 42.6 fantasy points. But then he followed it up against New England. New England ran for 107 yards, rushing touchdown, threw 4 passing touchdowns against the New England Patriots. So the elite upside can be accessed by Lamar Jackson. And that's why I think it's foolish to draft him outside of that second tier of quarterback. You've got your first tier of quarterbacks. You've got your Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Those are your top 3 in that specific tier. But then your tier 2, you've got Lawrence and Burrow and Fields and Jackson and Kyler Murray. Now, Murray, I think, drops down into that tier 3 for 2023 just because of that ACL tear. Maybe into tier 4 for Kyler because of the ACL. Lamar Jackson deserves to be in that second tier, assuming that his knee is stable. He missed the last 5 games, the regular season and the playoffs, because of this knee. And he came out and said, if I were able to get out there, I would go out and I would play. But this is a story worth monitoring. I think a lot rests on the medical clearance of that knee moving forward for Lamar Jackson. If he gets full clearance, great. But it's also, we've seen that the Baltimore Ravens have been conservative with the likes of J.K. Dobbins coming off of a pretty significant knee injury. And same things with Gus Edwards as well. Baltimore Ravens willing to wait out and give some time to get news and positive progress for their players coming off of significant injuries. So that's how I'm viewing Lamar Jackson. I think of him as a tier 2 quarterback. I'm happy getting him, in that spot. But if I'm drafting Jackson, I'm interested in getting putting him with a Tua Tagovailoa, tagging him with a Dak Prescott, putting him with a Russell Wilson, like pairing up the quarterbacks. For those who had followed my channel, one of the reasons why it's optimal for you to be attacking that quarterback position pretty aggressively in best ball tournaments is because of the fact that your top quarterbacks score more than your top running backs or your top wide receivers. So you want to be, this is like almost counterintuitive from those who have been playing season long and regular season long redraft leagues, because in your quarterbacks, you can stream those. You can pick them off waivers. You cannot pick off waivers in best ball. You're stuck with your players. So get yourself stuck with 2 studs. Consolidate. Don't draft a third one. Just draft 2 stud quarterbacks and move on. Allow yourself to take some shots on other flex plays later on in the draft. And that's one of the reasons why King Capital, who won the $1 million season-long tournament for Underdog this past year in the BBM3, he paired Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow. Hurts just so happened to be the number 1 quarterback at rate of which he scored top 5 quarterback weeks. Joe Burrow, 5th in that category. So if you can be aiming for elite players at the highest scoring position, then yes, like it can make up for any deficiencies or some of the deficiencies in any of the other positions. That's how you have to view this. Those elite quarterbacks not only can score more, but can access some forgiveness or some mercy if you miss out. I do like Jackson this year. I wonder if he will stay on the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be something we're going to be monitoring this offseason. Still quarterback 1 in my book, and one of the highest upsides among all quarterbacks.